Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning into this episode of the Creatives of Windsor Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Shirtout, and today I'm sitting down with Tracy Martens from the YQG In Bloom podcast. Tracy, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
It's very interesting to talk to another podcaster from the city.
I've been wanting to do this, so I was really glad when you reached out to me.
Yeah, like after we were both in, like obviously I've seen your podcast and been following you, but after we were both in the drive, I was like, I think this would be really cool to,
I did too.
And I feel like our guests are very similar.
We've had a couple of the same.
We've shared some. You just did Roxana.
Mm-hmm. And Tylene.
And I just did Murad, and you had him like a couple weeks before me.
Actually, they were all on the same day.
Oh, you just, that makes sense because then So is that how you do yours? Do you like shoot a bunch at once and then?
Actually, no, we were doing them either in our studio or on location if they had an actual, say, storefront or studio of their own. But we decided to try out Wolf and Rebel for a podcast pop-up and see how many wanted to come in. So the first time, we're just, in fact, putting out the last one of the very first podcast pop-up, I think today or tomorrow. And then we had done about 11 that day, and then we did 5 another day. And it's a lot of fun. And we just tell them can be anywhere from 5 minutes to 30 minutes, however much you want.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So the pop-up, I really like that idea. Mm-hmm. There was like a couple people I had on my list that I'm like, I know they have a cool space. And I was like, that might be fun to go set up there one day. But even just setting up in your own space is so much. So I'm just like, that must be so much work for you guys to go set up over there.
You got to give yourself a little bit of time to set up, but once it's done, it's set for it's just like here.
Yeah, and then it's just set for all day.
Yeah.
That's cool. When did you start the podcast?
It was a year in November.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Did you have the idea for a long time?
Actually, I didn't, and I'm used to being the photographer behind the camera, and with our studio, we were renting to people that wanted to do podcasts, and a few of them came through, and I'm like, well, I can do that. And at the time, I was really tired of everybody going, there's nothing to do in the city. We have nothing. And it's like, we have actually a lot, especially since the pandemic.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show people that there are a ton of things that can be done and viewed and seen, and businesses that have grown since then.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's cool how you kind of came into it like backwards almost. Like you were just having people in and then you did your own thing. I've had the idea for like a little bit before I started it. And then I was just like, how much work is it going to be? And do I have like the time to do it?
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what? Like, let's just do it and we'll see how it goes.
You wing it. It's the best way to do it.
And put no stress on myself. Like I put them out every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's 5 weeks between an episode. And like, if this was like my main focus, I would definitely be, like on a consistent schedule. But it's not, and I'm just doing it for fun. And I think that the way I've been doing it has worked out the best so far.
Oh, it's been great.
Thank you. I've been doing it for 8 months now. So you're number 14.
Oh, wow.
Which is really cool. And I think over this winter now that like we slow down, it's so funny that you and I have like the exact same, like we both do photography and do podcasts. It's so weird. But yeah, I think that now it's like winter and like obviously work is starting to slow down. Mm-hmm. I might bank a lot of episodes.
Honestly, and that was my big mistake when we first started, and my husband, who does all the background stuff, we would do a podcast and then he would edit it, put it out, do another one. And then we ended up getting sick or something. And then we didn't have any for a few weeks. And it's like, okay, no, you always have to have at least 2 banked up. That way, if anything happens, you can just throw it out. And like, I'm lucky right now, I think we still have 5 or 6.
You got 5 or 6 banked right now? Wow,
yeah.
That's a lot. I at the beginning, I was having a lot banked. And then there was a point where I had like a couple too many banked.
Yeah,
and
I
then,
did too.
Yeah. And then, because you can't put like, you don't want to put out like 3 in 2 weeks and then not put any for 4 weeks or something. So you have to be.
That's the one thing I learned from doing the pop-up is we were talking about time sensitive stuff, and it's like, okay, if you're going to bank them up, don't do anything time sensitive. We can always promote it when we put out the podcast.
Yeah, that is something that I learned back then too, is like, we're talking about things, but then you bank it for like 6 weeks and some of your content might not be relevant anymore. So you got to figure out like kind of, I did. So I have none banked right now. So yours is the next one to come out. And the last one I put out like a week and a half ago. But that one I did really fast because it was with Murad and it was like the Christmas one.
Yep.
So I had to shoot it after my Christmas stuff was set up and then put it out before Christmas. So.
He's so fun.
Yeah.
I loved having him on.
We had a long chat. He might be like my longest or second longest guest. We talked for almost 3 hours out here.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was very long. But
holy cow.
We started drinking and it was a good time.
Oh, there you go.
So what do you prefer? Do you prefer to do them in your own place or in other places?
You know what? It's a mix of both, because it is nice to go to different places, but I know on the technical side, it's harder for my husband doing the editing and with all the cameras and that. And we learned that from the first pop-up we did, and it was the whole day and the sun kept coming and going and coming and going. But at least like in your own space, it's controlled environment. You know exactly where everything's going to be. So
yeah, like little audio things even. Like I know out here that like I have to shut the furnace off.
yes.
So like I have to run the furnace like a little bit higher so I can shut it off and be good for the 2 hours. And just like so many weird little things, eh?
Oh, yeah.
Like I have to shut the windows in my house because like if the dog barks, sometimes you can hear it out here, and just like the weirdest little things that you figure out. And then that's why I'm a little scared to do it somewhere else, because like, yeah, like what if like the sun comes in a window or just like these, unknowns.
Well, luckily we have a stand now that has my logo on it. So we put that in front of the window for the last one. But when we just did the one at Walkerville Brewery, we just asked them to turn down the music and just allowed the background noise of the people talking, because it actually adds a little bit of depth to it as well, because it shows that there's people there, and you can hear in the Wolf and Rebel ones the door opening, the little dingling out in the door. So
I think those things are okay though.
Yeah.
Right? Because like they're supposed to be there. You are filming on location. Yeah. No, that's cool for sure. When did you guys, actually, wait, no, before I ask that question, I want to ask this one. How do you do your podcast? You'll either sit on the same couch or you guys will do like the chairs in like a semicircle. How do you like that?
I like my new yellow chairs. I'm kind of obsessed with them, but it's nice to have a round table as well. It's just, it's harder for my husband to try and make sure that the camera angles are good for everybody, since we do have the 3 cameras, but it is a lot of fun as well. You can, you get into some good conversations and it can go sideways real quickly.
I feel like with Murad, like me and him could have definitely done the couch. And I think it would have been cool because we were really like chilling on that one, and we've known each other for a long time. So it was just kind of whatever. But the second you start to change, everything changes. Like now I need a stand with like a boom arm on it and for the mics, and just like everything starts to switch up. So,
and that's what we learned is when we do it at Wolf and Rebel, we move the couch away, and then we have a little table behind that holds the boom with the microphones on it.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm sure I'll switch it up one day and kind of try some things. I would honestly love to do the podcast with like one camera there and switch as we talk. But with me being the only one here, I can't do it.
Yeah.
I
couldn't do it. I couldn't do it.
That's why it is nice to have somebody like working the cameras. But at this point, I don't have like, we don't make any money from this, so I can't pay somebody to do that. Then every episode would cost money, and I don't want to ask somebody to come and sit here for 2 hours just to, make sure the cameras are going good. So
I call it my $0 an hour plus benefits job.
That's funny. How long have you and your husband been doing photography for? I
think we figured it out a few weeks ago that it's been about 7 years now. We started in a little completely ignorant to how big of a space you need. And we started in a little office on Chilver, and we were in with Windsorite.ca. And then we moved to Drouillard, where we had a larger location. We were near Michael DeFazio. Mm-hmm. And in fact, it's right next to where Ford City Coney's are. We were in that building, and then we found this place on Eugenie that is a lot bigger.
Okay.
But we still tend to do, for the most part, on location.
Oh, that's cool. Were you guys always into photography before you started the business? Like, were you?
It's something that I always wanted to try, but me and my husband have only been together for 10 years, and I was a single mom, so I just never had the chance to do it. So when I had the idea I wanted to do it, and he actually used to do wedding videos.
Okay.
So we were going to do that, and it never panned out. And I said, well, why don't we do, photography on the offside? So we ended up starting with headshots and moving to events and weddings and everything in between.
It just kind of starts to snowball, and then you start to learn more things. That's cool. What did you do? Like, was your husband, was that always his career, wedding videos, or?
No, he does software, and he works on the computer. But like I said, years ago, he did wedding videos with a friend of his who was the photographer. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's a technical guy, so he taught me a lot, and we did try to go to St. Clair, and I think that lasted like 3 classes, and then they went on strike, so we just kind of figured it out on our own.
Oh yeah, they did. So that was that would have been like when they went on strike was like 2018. Yeah. 2017?
Something like that, yes.
Yeah, it was fall 20. So what were you doing, like the continuing education classes there?
Yeah, we were doing the night school classes downtown, and it was great. We had a great teacher, and then when that happened, we ended up finding Creative Live online, and they have a lot of different professional photographers, and they have their classes, their master classes. So we learned a lot about the photography and working manual, and
that's super cool. Do you remember who was teaching the one downtown when you were taking it?
Oh gosh, I forget her name. I know it wasn't Ted. I forget her name. And the funny thing is I've known her for years because my mom used to work at the college.
Yeah.
Can't think of her name.
That's okay. I was just curious. That's interesting. How everybody gets into it, because it's not really like photography is not like a clean cut thing. Like, everybody kind of gets into it. I feel like a lot of times people do it because they love it, mm-hmm. and then they just slowly start making like a little bit of money, a little bit more,
yeah,
and then they're like that was like for me, like somebody told me one time, they're like, you have a business, and I was like, I don't have a business. This was like when I was in college still, mm-hmm. but I was doing photography just because I loved it, and they're like, yeah, you do have a business, you make money from. I was like, I'm just a photographer, and then I was like, I do have a business. And then I started to like get into that mindset a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yeah, I should try to grow it as like a business, not just like, I'll take your pictures.
Yeah.
But that was like 10 years ago now. And it's crazy how things kind of grow from there.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite thing? Like, what do you guys like shooting the most?
Honestly, I love doing sports photography. Mm-hmm. I actually really enjoyed that. We photographed a lot for Windsor CrossFit, and that's a lot of fun you just catch those moments and the looks on their face when they're right in the middle of doing their workouts. That's a lot of fun. And I really enjoy events because we just do more of the candid. If you have to do some post photography, that's, you will get that done over with. And I just like watching people from afar, and then I'll just capture the moments for them.
Yeah, I would probably say that I think weddings is my favorite. They're definitely the most intense, the most stressful, the most work, the most everything.
Yes.
But they're probably my favorite. But I like events because it's kind of just like a really lay back, no stressed wedding. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you don't have to like be on like your timeline isn't so tight and condensed, and you're not like shooting some candids and event stuff like you are at a wedding, but then you have to like get back to the bride and groom and do this and that. So it is fun to do events too.
Well, I'm lucky that there's the two of us, me and my husband. So we have obviously 2 shooters for the wedding, but it helps that I'm a little bit older. So I deal with the brides. And so they kind of look to me as a mom a little bit. So I'll talk to them and I'll say, okay, what does your mom want? What does his mom want? And let's get those pictures out of the way, get them done, just make everybody happy, and then we can have fun.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay, I never thought of that. And I'm like, seriously, it's your day, but you do have to give them a little extra because they are probably paying for it. So.
For me, for what I do is like, unless they give me a list, which I feel like most of them just like put their trust in me, and they're just like, do your thing. So I have my general list that I kind of go into every wedding with. And then obviously that list can go out the window if needed. Cause like everything's so different, but yeah, I kind of go in, when I have cause I have second shooters a lot too. And I always do the bride though. If I can't, I try to do both. But sometimes like time wise or location wise doesn't work. Like if the groom's in Windsor and we're in Kingsville, I can only do one, and I always do the bride cause it is so much more than the groom in the morning. And the groom's so easy. Like they get dressed like that.
Oh yeah.
And the bride, it's like, even just to get the dress on takes like half an hour.
And then the makeup and the hair.
Yeah. And the guy's just kind of, hanging out. So sometimes what I like to do when I have 2 shooters is, I'll do the bride, and then I'll try to get to the groom just for like a few minutes if I can, just to like bang out like a couple of my own but I always just give my second shooter the list of what I need or whatever.
Yeah.
But you start to work with the same people, and then they know exactly what you want.
Well, and that's the thing is my husband, he usually gets the long lens, and I'm the one in there up at the altar with the husband watching everybody coming up, and I get those pictures. So it's nice. We have a really good ebb and flow, and we're always conscious of where each other is. So it's nice to work with the same person for me anyway. For
sure. Like the person I shoot with the most for weddings is John Chan, if you know who that is.
Yeah.
If you know John. So John primarily, like he does photography, but for weddings, he primarily always did video. His company's Perfect Shutter. So it's great because I love second shooting video, and he loves second shooting photo. And I don't really second shoot photo, and he doesn't really second shoot video. So it's funny because like I'll help him, and then he helps me, and then we're just kind of always going back and forth and like helping each other. And
that's nice.
It is nice to work with the same person, especially when like last weekend they led, and then this weekend you lead, and it's kind of just like nobody's really leading anymore.
That's the one, and it's such a nice ebb and flow, and you just kind of know out of the corner of your eye at this point during the wedding they're going to be in this spot, or they're going to be in that, or I better get out of the way. And
yeah, especially John was probably doing it for probably close to 10 years before I started, maybe even like 8. So like when I was coming up, like I would second shoot a lot for him while I, wasn't as busy when I was younger, and I learned a lot from him. And then like having him shoot for me is like, I have other people shoot for me who are professionals, and I trust them too, but having like that person, like, exactly like where they're going to be.
Yeah.
And it is really nice to be able to just like 100%, you already know what you're going to get back from them. And that's really good.
Easy.
Yeah.
And then I'm usually the one stuck because we're both click happy, and you always got to take at least 3 pictures of each person. And so I'll go through them, and there's like thousands of pictures for a wedding. And my husband's like, I can't believe you go through them that quickly. And it's like, yeah, I'll pound out and get rid of like 900 in an hour.
Yeah, I'm a fast color now too.
Yeah, I like doing that. And then I'll always leave a few. It's like, okay, they're the same picture, but I can't decide which one's better. So you figure it out since you're going to edit it. And then he'll go through and finish it.
Usually what I do is like on the initial call, I fly through. Yeah. Obviously there's like the bad ones you delete. And then all those maybes just keep on my call. And then say I'll call like 3,000 photos down to like 1,200 or 1,400 or 1,500, whatever it is. And then I'll start editing. And then once you're editing, you're spending more time with each image. And then you delete those other.
And that's what I let him do. It's like,
And I feel like when you're just going through and you're not editing, you're just looking, you'll be like, I don't know. But once you're editing, you're like, oh yeah, it's definitely this one. And I feel like it's just so much quicker. I don't know.
But you have to do it in those 2 steps because that first call, you're sitting there and it's like all of a sudden my eyes are dry and I'm like, everything looks the same now.
And I never do, excuse me, I never do like one session. I always like, I'm working through the day. Like I'll be like, okay, like we'll start the morning. I'll call for like 45 minutes. And then maybe I'll call for another half an hour in the afternoon. And then the next day I'll call for another half an hour. And in the between, I'm doing shoots and editing other shoots and doing business stuff. And instead of just like, oh, that would just be so, I feel like I wouldn't do a good job if I was like, you got to do 4 hours straight of the same wedding. It's like,
I'll get into it in, I have OCD, so I'm the type that it's like, okay, I'll just do a few more. And then it ends up like 2 hours later, I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even realize it had gone that far. But
I love when that happens though, when it's like, oh, it never got like dreary and it's been like 2 hours and it's like, oh, I just finished in like one shot or whatever. That's nice too.
It is. It was a good event and a good session if you don't want to stop.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. 100%. So, did they reach out to you for the drive?
Yeah. I was really surprised when Jen messaged me. I'm like, really? I started having that imposter syndrome. I was like, why me?
No, that's really cool. Yeah, they let me know. I forget who let me know because I do a lot of their photos too. So somebody called me and they're like, we're going to put you in this one. Oh. I was like I'm going to be in it. Like, that's cool.
I know.
Because the one we're in, it's funny. I actually have a lot of photos in that one too. Which is nice to have, like, I'm in it, but like also a lot of my pictures are in there too.
That's funny. And I've ended up doing a few events for WeTech for Jen's other jobs. So yeah, she's great to work with. Yeah,
for sure. It's funny with the drive. So I didn't know much about them. And in 2018, I got a call from one of their editors, Sabine, who's still there.
Okay.
And she was like, hey, I love your stuff. She's like, I work for the drive. Like, do you want to, like, can I interview you and we'll feature you in it? I was working on my first book at the time and they featured me. And then she's like, and then as that was happening, she learned that I also have like the business side. And she's like, oh, do you want to start shooting? And then pretty much ever since then, I've been shooting for them, and it's been great.
Now, how do you like shooting for weddings or for the magazine?
I like it.
Yeah.
They're the best to shoot for because they kind of just are like, they're all about creativity. They don't give you, you're just like, make it cool. I do a lot of the stuff for them. It's pretty much most of their ads. Like, but they don't run their ads like ads. They run their ads like stories. Which is nice.
It is nice. Yeah, you can't tell which is an ad and which is...
Exactly.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so I'll get there and I'll be like, is this an ad or a story? Because like they're still doing an interview of them and everything. But it's kind of cool to just... Like sometimes they'll give me some direction because like it is an ad. Like, they might want this specific thing. Yeah. But for the most part, it's just kind of like, do your thing. And it's fun shoots and yeah.
It's nice to have them allow you the creativity to just go and do your thing and that they trust you.
Yeah, every client that, with every like artist or creative person, like if you just let them do whatever they were going to do, it's probably going to be the
one that you want.
Yeah. Like I always say, like the more restrictions you put, like the quality or what you're going to get is going to start to go down more. Because if you let the creative person just do whatever they want, they're going to do the best.
Yep.
Right? I always try to do that like when I'm getting tattoos. Try to not give like too much direction. Like I want this and then, do your thing.
Exactly.
Because if you're too picky, then I know from my work that like it might start to not be as good, right? So it's weird. Things like that. So what, who are some people you have coming up? Do you have people lined up right now?
I'm in talks with a few people, but I'm just trying to sort out which ones. Like, I know I'm definitely going to be doing one with Coco, the drag queen, and we're just trying to sort out right now where we're going to do it. And I have a few others that I've been talking to, but we were just waiting for the new year, and I didn't want to get too far ahead.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is a weird week. This is like the week that doesn't exist.
It is.
For like, obviously they don't know when we're shooting. Like, we're shooting this on December 29th. So this is like a really weird day.
Hey, this is the week that everybody has forgot what day it is.
Yeah.
And it's really weird because I was talking to Jake and I was going to say, well, why don't we meet tomorrow on Friday? And then I'm looking going, oh yeah, today's Friday. Never mind.
I know. It's like, what day is it? Is it a weekday? Is it a weekend?
It messed us up that the Christmas Eve was a Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Christmas felt like a Sunday.
Yeah.
But it was a Monday. And everybody kept thinking it was Sunday. And then whatever day Christmas is, that's what day New Year's Day is. And and now New Year's Eve is on a Sunday. So everybody's going to party on a Sunday, which makes next week weird because like nobody's going to do anything on the Monday because it's a holiday. And then the second you're going to feel kind of like,
I don't want to go back to work yet.
And then Wednesday you're going to be working, but then you only got 3 days and everybody's going to be behind.
Oh, I know. That's why I told everybody just the new year. We're just taking this time it's just too much.
Do you have a lot of people reach out and ask to be on?
You know what? I'm starting to.
Okay.
I'm starting to, and I've been trying to do each one of them, but I've had a few recently that all reached out at the same time. So those are probably the ones that I'll be doing in the new year.
Yep.
So I'm going to talk to. I want to find a different location to try out and see.
That's cool.
Maybe I'll come here.
That would be cool. I might be down for that. If you shoot one here in my spot, that'd be actually really interesting. Yeah, no, I like that idea. Yeah, like, see, I always feel, so you know what's funny is when I first launched it, I had a lot of people ask to be on. And then I get like, you know, the message every now and then. And I always feel bad. And I don't want people to feel like I'm like brushing them off. But like, it's been 8 months. I've only done 14.
Yeah.
You know how big my list is? Like, I probably have 200 people on the list. If I do 20 a year, it's going to take 20 years to get through everybody. Like, it's a lot. So, and then things come up. Like, for example, like I had you on my list, but you weren't at the top, but then after the drive article came out, I was like, okay, now we got to put, you know, this is the time to do it. So, and yeah.
Oh, I know. And the funny thing is you had reached out to me and I had been thinking, you know, I'd love to sit down and chat with another podcaster because I really don't know too many that do the same kind of genre that I do. Like I know the podcasters that did the breweries and they've done different things, and I like dealing with Windsor businesses. So
yeah, me and you almost,
and people, we
probably have like the exact same amount of like the same type of guests, right? Yeah,
but who cares? Because I'm 53. You're obviously younger than me, and we all have our different approaches and different styles, and you're going to get so much difference between each interview. Like my interview with Roxana is completely different than yours, and
I love it. I love that there's somebody similar. It just brings more attention to both of us
and to the people.
I also like that we've had a few of the same guests because like it's just like people can watch them on 2 different platforms now and like really see the difference, and I think it's really cool. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Because, I mean, also there's a lot of times that I know people will be on a podcast and then they'll think, oh, I wish I would have said that. Well, then they get the chance on the next one.
We should make sure we take turns. Like I had Tylene first, but you had Murat first. It's perfect because then they're more comfortable with the second one. we can take turns like that.
It is so true. I love Tylene. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she was, I forget how I got her on. I think she followed the podcast and she just sent a message and I was checking out her stuff and I was like, oh, that would fit right now. Because she was one of my first guests and I really wanted to like show diversity with like with what they did.
Yeah.
And that was a lot different than like a musician and whatever. So I was like, that was cool at the start.
Yeah, I think I started mine. We're mostly friends. Like I have a lot of small business friends because I do a lot of crafting and that. So that's why Diane, the hook pusher, she was my very first one because she's my yarn hookup. And then I know Megan, Iris and Marnie because she used to work with Diane. And so it was a lot of small businesses that I either already knew the people or I would go to their stores. So that's how I chose the very beginning. It's like, okay, I really want to talk to you. I want to know you. I want to be your best friend because I love your product. So
yeah, for me, I did the same thing. So I had Sebastian Abt from Hutch. He's the lead singer of the band Hutch. But we've been friends for a long time. But he's also in like one of the city's more popular bands. So I was like, you know what, it'd be perfect to have him on for the first one. He's used to talking in front of people. He's the lead singer. So he'll be comfy. He's been interviewed before. We've been friends for a while. I was like, I think this would be good for the first one.
Yeah.
Especially because the podcast didn't exist yet. So like I had to be like, dude, I'm starting this podcast. Come on. And actually my first 3 guests all had to have trust in me. I had Christina Bratt on second, if I'm not mistaken. And I had Roxana on third. And like when I reached out to Roxana, I was like, I don't know her. I know Christina and Sebastian, but I didn't know her at all. And I was like, hey, I started this podcast. You want to come on it? And like, I couldn't show her anything because like nothing was out yet. And she just trusted me and was like, okay, sure. And then, then it worked out.
I know that it helps so much to have friends. And it was the same thing with me and Diane. And it was like, I was so nervous because we're used to being behind the cameras, not in front of it. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? So there was wine in our coffee cups and it was just a conversation. And that's when I learned. And that was actually the best learn because I had a script written out for it. And I kept screwing it up and I kept screwing it up. And thank God my husband's so good at editing. And I'm like, I'm not an actor. I'm not a news person. So forget the scripts.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, like I said, I just have like a couple questions that I can glance at, but yeah, the scripts are they're hard to follow in an interview.
Well, and you don't want to be in an interview and then go, oh, hold on a minute, I lost my place.
Exactly. I took journalism at St. Clair about 10 years ago. I finished 8 years ago. And that helped with this for sure because I've done interviews. I've been on TV and it's been a long time. It's been 8 years. But I did remember a bunch of little tips like that.
Yeah.
Like having a list, like you don't even write out full questions. You just put a word.
Yep.
And then you can go off the word. And it's best to just kind of flow like that, I guess. Do you try to curate your guests? Like, for example, like if you're going to have like a person who does one thing, do you try to make like the next guest similar or completely different, or does it not really matter?
You know what? I haven't even really thought too much about that. It's just I try different things, and I know for a while I kind of stuck with the same genre of small businesses, and I'm kind of starting to branch out. Like when Walkerville Brewery reached out to us all for the Christmas basket. It's like, okay, you know what? I don't feel right taking this. Let's do a podcast. And then it's like, okay, now I'm starting to go to different things and now I'm here. And I think 2024 is the year to branch out. Okay. And to try different people and different businesses, different avenues. And
yeah, now that you have like a name established and
it's getting there.
Yeah. And people know you. You guys have a lot of followers on Instagram. I have your Instagram pulled up. Yeah. You guys have like 1,000 more than I do.
Hey, that's taken a long time.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, but I don't judge anything based on followers.
No. Oh gosh, no.
It doesn't. Cause I know photographers that have like 100,000 followers, but like they don't even do their thing full time. Mm-hmm. Like they're still working at that. I know people with 1,000 followers have been doing it full time for 20 years.
And I mean, look at you on YouTube. I have more followers than you, but you have more views. So I don't even follow what the followers are. I would rather just make sure that everybody likes the content and is happy with it and there's no negativity.
I find for most of the views anyway, like they come from the people's friends and family fans. And I always try to get my guests to like, you share it, you know, because you, and I know they feel like they don't want to like push themselves in their interview, but like your parents and your siblings and your friends, like they want to watch it. The general fans of the podcast that watch every episode are going to watch it, but there's not a lot of those. And it's your friends and family that watch these things, you know, like my 2 guests ago, I had Leanne on and she shared the shit out of it. And she's like number 2 on views on YouTube now.
Oh, I know. And that's the thing is I did have a couple that shared it a lot, but most of them, they'll just share it when I share it. And then it's like, okay, you got to do it a few more times. I almost want to put it in there. You have to share it at least twice in order to do it. But I know the Monteneros, they shared it like crazy. So I have so many views from their home country and here. And then I was just looking on RSS because I do the RSS too. And it's like, I think I got like 11 or 12 countries that actually listen to it. Belgium for some reason and China.
Really?
I watch the episodes.
I forget I have a couple unique. I actually want to pull it up now. I don't know because this isn't my main computer. Spotify because I do everything. So I used to when I first started, I was going to use like Podbean or something, and then once I got going, I realized that you can just post through Spotify and it'll RSS it to all the other ones right through them. So that's what I do.
And when I started mine, Spotify was still through RSS. So I did RSS. So now I still have that and I have the Spotify and the YouTube, but I like how it just kind of sends it everywhere.
What do you think is like your main platform?
You know what? I just want people, small businesses. I prefer to do the small businesses that they need the shout out. They appreciate the shout out. People need to find them. They can't afford a ton of advertising. And that's why I haven't charged anything because they can't afford it and they're kind of the forgotten people. But I also want to start branching out into people that do really nice special things in our area and try and branch out so that people outside of the YQG area will listen to the podcast and maybe saying, okay, I'll go there for a vacation or a staycation if they're from somewhere else in Ontario.
Yeah, that's cool too. It's funny because, I'm having you on here, but David Haas, do you know him? He has a podcast too. I think it's called the David Haas Podcast.
Oh, yes. Okay, I thought it sounded familiar, but I wasn't 100%.
Is that what it is?
Podcast.
I want to know exactly what it's called while we're on here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's just what the podcast is called. Anyway, he's from here too, and he owns the whatever Kobodo Park used to be, Longoria Retreat. He's got like the little domes that you can rent and stay out there.
Yes.
So anyway, he has the podcast, and then I'm gonna be on there. He asked me to be on his.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, which will be interesting. But his is a little bit different than just like featuring people kind of like we do. So I'm curious to see how that goes.
Yeah, I think I've only listened to 1 or 2, but I definitely want to branch out and find, because I know now there are more podcasts in the Windsor-Essex County area. There wasn't a ton when I started. I know there was like 1 or 2 other ones that did the same thing. That's why I figured, okay, small business, it'll be a good area to go into. But now we have more, which is great.
Yeah, I don't mind.
No. And like I said, it just puts a spotlight more on our area and hopefully brings in revenue to the businesses and to the area, to the YQG area.
Yeah, like for me, like when I think like having you on here, like you're gonna share this and your followers are gonna see me, vice versa. Like I think it's just good for everybody.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too, and we'll have to get you on ours. And
yeah, again, I, like you just saying that makes it. It's so weird how nervous you get to go on other people's compared to like doing your own. You know. It's funny how it goes like that sometimes.
And unfortunately, it was 11 a.m., so it was too early to have a beverage to calm down.
Yeah, what time of day do you usually shoot yours?
It just depends if it's because my husband has the day job. So if it's during the week, it's after 5, and if it's on the weekend, it can be any time.
Okay, interesting.
So it's nice to do it after 5 when you can have a beer or a glass of wine or something.
Yeah, for sure. I would say I do mine like when the work day's done, but before the work day's done. So I'll shoot a lot of like 3:30, 4. Oh,
that's a good time.
Or sometimes if it's gonna be somebody like with Dan McDonald, like he's a friend of mine. We were gonna have a couple beers and hang out. So I was like, okay, we'll do it at like 7 at night.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I guess it's always kind of different.
That was a really good interview. That was fun.
What's the most amount of people you've had on at one time? Was it 3?
Yeah, we only have the 4 mics, so.
Okay.
And actually, the women's health one, I've done women's. The first one was for January, and it was about having intentions instead of resolutions. And then I had them back on in September, and it was about women's health and sexuality. And I'm actually surprised at the amount of people that had the feedback that we had, and a lot of them were from men.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Interesting. I would love to have more than one person on at once. But again, like my whole setup would have to change. So, you know what? I think I could do 3. Mm-hmm. We'll ditch the TV and I can put the third person here.
Why not?
And that I might try that. Because there's like a few groups of people it'd be better if there was both of them on. But we'll see.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. Because then I think the conversation would be totally different. Okay, now I might do that.
I think you should.
Yeah. Okay, I will.
Yeah.
I just need another stand, mic, headphones, and then we're good to go.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, the camera. I
know that's the only tricky part.
That's the only thing is you're going to be looking at that person too.
I know. That's the problem with only one, but I can't manage 2 by myself. So it's just like.
Well, I know when we did have the one, we just had the table and we all kind of sat together. And I mean, it looks a little static, but just moving your table around and.
Yeah, that could work. Yeah, or maybe we could do like the couch or the couch and a chair. It's like 2 on the couch and 1 on a chair and an angle. Mm-hmm. That could work too.
And then get lav mics.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. True.
Fancy.
Yeah. And you can drop another $300 on 3 lav mics.
Hey, it's a new year.
Yeah. What's the hot butter trivia that you do?
Hot butter trivia. That's my husband's.
Okay.
And that one we had talked about. It's him and his business partner that do it. His business partner is a graphic designer, but my husband does a lot of the motion work. So you give him the graphics and he'll figure it out. And we had talked about it years ago about doing different trivia things. And then the Christmas one came out. They started thinking about doing it. And they just put it on YouTube, and it was actually a lot of fun. It took them a while to do that, and you can't punch your answers in because it's on YouTube. So it's like you're watching it, and we just found that a lot of people are like screaming their answers out, and it's just one of those fun things. So they're going to do more because it took off. So now the next one I think they're going to do is time travel.
Oh, okay.
So it's fun, like guess the person, which his partner did probably, what would you call it? The pictures for each and the names of the movies, and then you'd have to guess which one was right, which one was a fake one or real. They had a bunch of different games, and I like it.
Yeah, that's fun. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's nice to try to like incorporate different things. Like you guys do a lot of like reels and sharing the videos and stuff, which I want to start doing more of, but so much time.
Oh, well, I don't do a lot of it. Jake made in YQG, he's the real guy, and I just share most of his stuff because he's with me a lot of the time for the different things. He tries to get me to figure out the reels, and it's like, I'm just not that type of person. I'll either take a picture or I just want to be in the moment.
I want to give him props and a shout out because he shares and likes and comments on like every episode we put out and just like everything. He's all over there. And I don't even know what's his last name? It's so funny because you see people on Instagram, but you don't even know. Like, I don't even think we've ever met.
I don't even think his name's his last name's on
social media.
I don't think so.
But we'll shout out to Made in YQG because he's like the biggest fan.
Oh, he's a sweetheart. Yeah, no, he's in fact, he's always doing reels, taking pictures, and they're usually bad ones of me. So today, actually, he was saying that he is sitting at home going through all of his reels, trying to figure out to make a reel of 2023. And I said, yeah, good luck with that one.
Reels. Yeah. Reels, there's so much work.
My reels are usually just a bunch of pictures put together.
Those are nice too. Those are definitely a lot easier to do, like the slideshows and the things like that. Because when you're like doing the video, like you spend like, when you do a nice reel, you put a lot of time and hours into it. And when you post it and it doesn't get any, you're like, what did I just do? Because that thing is like useless now. Like I'd rather put the time into like working on a photo or like a podcast that's going to like, you know, like live. Like that reels doesn't live on, in my opinion. Yeah. It's just to like get people to see it.
Yeah.
But like these interviews do, and like a photograph, that lives on. You frame it, you put it on a wall. It's like printed and it's real, it's tangible. And I don't know. I don't like working a lot on something that's just.
I have a love-hate with both reels and photography to a certain extent. Like I had my camera, we had just started photography, and my husband had to go to work, and we stayed in Long Island for almost 9 days. And I was out there sightseeing, and I had my camera and I left it in the car, and it's like, I want to see this. I want to see the ocean. I don't want to see it through my camera. I brought it out later, but the first couple days it's like, no, it's staying at home. I want to actually enjoy myself.
Yeah, that is hard to, at the beginning, like you said at the beginning, it's hard to like have that balance. But you figure it out, but then you never really figure it out because I always feel bad if there's like something cool and then you don't have it.
Yeah.
I don't shoot very much like personally, like for my personal stuff in the city that much anymore. I really only shoot when I'm traveling, and I just kind of shoot like crazy. So at home, I usually never have a camera with me unless I'm working.
Yeah, same here.
And I don't know. It's weird. It always changes though. Like I used to go to a lot of shows like for bands locally, and I would always bring my camera and shoot. And if I didn't, I'd feel so bad. And now when I go to shows, I don't go to as many as I used to. But I never really shoot them anymore. And sometimes I'm there and I'm like, I wish I had it because like something's cool is happening now or whatever. And I don't know. That'll probably never go away. It's you'll bring your camera to somewhere 5 times and you won't use it, and then the one time you don't, you'll wish you had it.
That's why I always get the newest iPhone with the biggest camera and all that. And it's like, if I don't have my camera with me, I at least have this, and I have a picture.
That's what's nice about the phones is like they're just so good now. You can totally shoot, because like photography isn't the gear, it's the image. So like you can totally shoot with your phone and edit. And Polaroid just put out this thing where you take a picture on your phone and then you put your phone on it and it prints out a Polaroid.
Oh, now I need that.
Like 600 film Polaroid. What's it called? I forget what it's called. I think it's like $200. They have it at Henry's.
Oh, I'm going there.
I honestly, because I'm like, wow, this changes everything about Polaroid, because on your phones capture dynamic range, like better than even film does. Like you can see the sunset, you can see your face all in the same picture, and cameras don't do that. And Polaroids definitely didn't do that. But now that you can do that on your phone and then print it as a Polaroid, I don't have one yet, but I need to buy it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I mean, they keep changing each year. Like I have the 15 Pro Max, and then they have the 14, whatever. The newest one, I didn't get it. Jake has it, and I'm totally jealous. We actually did a video on the difference and how good it is.
Just from the 14 to I heard the 15 was like a big step.
It is. It's a huge step. And I mean, it's still not printable per se, but for online, it's amazing.
Yes, definitely for online, it's amazing. I always say phones, you can do up to about 8 by 10 print if it was in nice light, like outside.
Yeah.
And anything more than that, they look weird. Right? They have like this.
It's true. It's little banding pixels and.
Yeah. Is there anything that you wanted to like specifically talk about or ask or anything? Not to put you on the spot.
What is your next move for 2024?
With the podcast?
Yeah.
I don't think I have any like big plans. No.
Just keeping it going?
Yeah, I think it's fun. I like it where it is. I would like to start getting like highlights from the things and putting out like short reels on Instagram.
That is my thing that Jake keeps bugging me to do is go through your old stuff and put out the reels, because I am finding even just recently having the people saying, hey, I'm going to be on the next episode, actually gets more watches than sometimes the podcast. So there's certain clips, because not everybody watches or listens to the entire episode. And once you're into the episode, that's usually when the fun stuff happens, is near the end. So I think I think reels for those would be good.
Yeah, and I think my plan is, because it's on one camera, I'm just going to like, when you're talking, I'll cut it vertical and just go back and forth and just show like 30 seconds to a minute of like highlights from a few. I don't know. I guess I really haven't had the time to sit there and do it.
I know.
You got to scrub through these old conversations until you find a good spot, and then you got to edit it up, and you probably got to like maybe add some music, and you got to do this, and then you got to post it, and it's like, oh my God.
And then it's tiring just thinking about it.
I know, right? But yeah, if like that's always on my list. It is always on my like podcast to-do list, like cut some down and put out a few. That's the thing, is like I can't just do one and then never do it again. So I got to do like 5 at once, just so I have some. But if I'm looking to grow or switch things up or whatever, then that is definitely next on my list. What about you?
That's the same thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been bugged about doing that for a while. So I just kept saying in the new year, because I did a few markets this year on top of the podcast pop-ups and the podcasts, and our the studio work there, and then just closing down the physical studio, Clear Rock Studio, but keeping our business open. And we've been doing a lot of events. So it's just been crazy. So this week, other than today, I've been sitting and relaxing and just enjoying it. Yeah.
Good for you.
I needed to.
I think with the new year, actually, like in the winter, I want to put these out a little more frequently. Coming out of like summer and fall is like the busiest season for work. So I think now that things are going to start to maybe slow down a little bit, maybe just like get a bunch done.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about. I just like talking to people.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Learning new things, and there's so much that I never would have known about different random industries if I didn't get to sit with the people and talk to them.
Yeah. You learn so much. I remember listening on Joe Rogan's podcast one time, and he says, like, after doing 3,000 episodes with like leaders in every industry, because he talks to like the biggest of everything, he's like, I have so much like minimal knowledge about everything now. He's like, just like a small amount, but about so many different subjects from talking to all these people. And it's true. Yeah,
it is. And then on those off days where you're sitting around, it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to look into this. And you just kind of widen your horizons and me being a crafter and talking to these people, it's like, okay, now I want to do pottery and now I want to do earrings and I want to try everything. So I got to stop myself.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm the same as you. Like every time I see something, I have to do it. And sometimes I tell myself, like, you got enough to do. Just go do that instead. Go do photos or something.
Yeah, I know. During the pandemic, before I started this, and with the photography, the studios being shut down and everything, I did a thing for 2 seasons in the spring called Tracy's Garden. And I planted, because I used to do horticulture for a few years. And what I did was my husband made me an entire grow up in our basement with all the lights and everything. And I'd grow from seed vegetables and herbs. And then I would deliver them in the South Windsor area to people's doorsteps. I did it the first year, and it actually was a surprising hit. And then I did it the second year, and I doubled my amount. And then it turned into like this huge thing that kind of exploded out of, it was crazy. And so the last year I didn't, or 2023, this year, I did not do it. I'm like, I'm concentrating on the podcast. I need a break, but I think I'm going to bring that back this year because it's fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. That sounds really cool. Yeah, it's funny. I always find like people that are doing like one thing creative always have like a million other things that they like to do too.
Always. And then, doing the markets for my knitting and crocheting, and it's nonstop.
I know. I used to do a lot of markets when I was growing my business back in like 16, 17, 18. And then in 2019, I stopped. Then there was COVID. And then this year I did quite a few again. Oh my God, it's so much work. But I had a great time at a few of them. I really only did like a few of the big ones. But this was my first year doing art in the park. And that was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Did I see? Oh, it was at Art in the Park. I thought it was Art by the River, but it was Art in the Park that I saw you there.
Okay.
Yeah, because I actually helped one of my friends do her booth the one day, and then me and Jake came the second day just to actually look at everything.
Art in the Park was so insane, I didn't even walk around once.
No.
And I was there, obviously, the whole time.
Mm-hmm. It was crazy.
It was so beautiful, and it never is for Art in the Park. And it's really like no COVID anymore there. And oh my, like it was so busy that people told me that they couldn't walk across the sidewalk to get to my booth when they walked by. That's how many people there were.
And it was so hot that Saturday. The first day, it was like, oh my God, thank God I didn't have to work it the second day because there
was ambulance. There was paramedics everywhere. Mm-hmm. People were passing out. Mm-hmm. You know, it was very, very hot. I was dying, and in the tent is worse because it's like, you know, we had all the sides up and we're trying to get like a cross breeze going. I had like...
You had the trees around you too.
Yes, but and the shade wasn't hitting my tent though. It was like just beyond it. Like my wife was going to sit in the shade though. I was sitting in front of the tent, which kind of made some shade. Mm-hmm. But like, oh my God, was it hot? I didn't even know what to do. It was because you just have to sit there because it doesn't stop.
No.
It was great though. It was definitely worth it. But I can't do it this year because I have a wedding to shoot that weekend. But you know what? Part of me is actually a little glad because I was like, what are the chances that it goes so well again? Like, you have to bring so much stuff. Like, you invest a lot of money to be there. And if it rains and nobody comes, like, now you got all that stuff.
Now, your photography is what you sell at the markets and that. Is it all new stuff or are they prints from... Because I just keep looking at that your Volkswagen, the van. I love that picture.
Thanks. That's a bestseller. It has been for years. I shot that in 2020.
Yeah. I love that picture. And I do remember seeing that in your booth.
Thanks. So like, for example, if I were to do like the Walkerville night market, I'll put that up, and because it's like one of the best sellers, I might sell it once that night. And the Walkerville night market's a great market too. Mm-hmm. So I might sell that once, probably sell like, 5 pieces and a handful of prints. But at Art in the Park, it's like I had to have like 8 of those. Oh. In every like hour or so you're just swapping it out. It's just so different than every other market. And like selling out isn't a bad thing, but you don't want to sell out on like the first day
No.
and then have nothing. But you also don't want to like waste too much money and build too many things. Yeah. So I had a bunch of pieces I was trying out for the first time, and I just made one. And then all the best sellers, I just had like, I had one of my bins are over there with my pieces. And I had like one bin and it said like best sellers. Yeah. And just like every time one sold, you could like grab another one until we ran out of them. But yeah, it was fantastic, which I was happy about.
I really liked seeing at Art in the Park that it was the majority of local businesses, which is never local businesses. It's always from all over Ontario.
And it's supposed to be local handmade things. And in years past, they would have like I didn't get in 1 year, and I know other people who didn't get in 1 year, like in the past years. And then I go there and like somebody's selling baby clothes that are made in China.
Oh yeah,
that's not art. You know, you're just selling it. Like that doesn't, you know, it's supposed to be. And this year was great. Yeah, it was all just like handmade, especially from people in Windsor. But yeah,
it was nice to walk around and say, hey, you know, everybody. It was great. I mean, there was a few way back in the day that they weren't from Windsor, but they came every year. So you knew that their booth was going to be there. And that was nice because then you get to know them, but it's really nice to bring it back to the Windsor people.
Yeah. Like, I don't mind if some people from out of town come, but as long as they're making it, they need to make it by hand.
Make it, take it, whatever, but don't order it online.
Yes. Yeah, you can't, like, not there. That's not a reselling market. No. I don't think so anyway. It's got to be, because, like, and there's so many good artists there. It's crazy.
It is.
Something that helped me was I was next to Brand Dead. You know,
okay, yeah.
Dave.
Yeah.
So that's like the busiest booth. That probably is the busiest, most popular booth at the entire in the park. In my opinion, I think so. It's insane how many people come because he just does he redesigns every old logo from Windsor in the past and sells it on shirts and pins and stickers.
Yeah.
And it's just like being next to him is really nice for your booth because everybody's like looking for it even. And they like ask for like shirts that like, oh, I want this shirt and he has them or he used to have them. It's crazy. It's cool to watch how busy he is.
I love his shirts and the pins, and it just brings me right back.
Yeah. He does a great job with that stuff for sure.
Really does, because you can't tell the difference. You can't tell that it's reproduced.
No.
Because I used to have that Wheels roller skating shirt when I was like 8 or 9, so it looks the same.
I used to go there when I was a kid. That place was a lot of fun. I think it closed when I was like in probably like the second or third grade, like the early 2000s.
Yeah,
because
it was fun.
Yeah, that was a cool spot.
We need that again.
I know. I feel like Windsor has so many more people now than it did even in like the last 10 or 15 years. They're like, we could maybe have something like that again.
Yeah, we need to start bringing back the old stuff. Like we have a lot of stores and we have a lot of restaurants and bars, but we need stuff to do. And I think roller skating would be fun.
And it's been on the uprise in popularity for the last little while. I think people would go.
I think so.
If people went before, like Windsor gets a lot of new residents every month for the last little while, which is great. And like our county and all those cities like Tecumseh and all these places are expanding and their suburbs are growing, and that's good for everything here. So
for sure.
Yeah.
So start bringing stuff to do.
Maybe we'll start one because we keep seeing to start a million things.
Why not? Add something else to the business.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much it for everything that I wanted to discuss.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. It was great chatting with you.
It was so nice to finally meet you.
Yes, you too. Tell everybody where they can follow your stuff.
I am on Instagram at YQG In Bloom Podcast and also Facebook. And you can find me on YouTube, RSS, Spotify, any of the podcast platforms. And I do have the website YQGinbloom.com, but I haven't updated it in a while. It's just new, so.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you very much, Tracy, for coming on. It was
Thank
nice
you
to
so much.
really meet you for the first time. Thank you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you. Actually, that was the least nervous I've been.
Yeah?
Yes.